Alright, here we go. This is 2.5 piecewise functions. In order for us to be able to talk about piecewise functions, first we need to be able to talk about a regular function. This is something that was covered earlier in chapter 2, but we did not spend much time on. And it's evaluating functions at certain points. This is a function f of x is equal to 2x minus 2. This is the same as y equals, y and f of x are the same thing. It might say g of x, it might say h of x, right? Any of those mean the exact same thing. Don't get hung up. It's like a label. It's like saying black, white, or red, or blue, or whatever. It's just a different label, okay? So f of x equals 2x minus 2. The first thing that I need you to be able to do is to evaluate the function at different points. For example, you need to be able to evaluate it at negative 2, positive 2, 0, 5, 6, 10, 22, wherever. Wherever I ask you to evaluate the function, you need to be able to take that function and evaluate it at that point. This goes back to the function box. I won't make you redraw it, but if you remember, the function box looked like this, right? You dropped in an x, and you turn the crank. This is the crank, right? This is the stuff that can change, 2x minus 2, and out comes a what? A y. Very good. A y comes out. So when I solve this, when I do this, when I evaluate it at those points, what I'm actually making is a t-chart at negative 2, 2, and 0. It can be displayed, the information can be displayed like this, or it can be displayed in the t-chart. Either way is fine. Okay? What do I get when I take negative 2 and I evaluate the function at negative 2? Well, I take that negative 2 and I stick it in wherever there's an x. In this case, there's only one x, so I only have one place to plug it in. If I take it at negative 2, what do I get? I get negative 6. I get negative 4 right here. Minus 2 is negative 6. Okay? All right. How about at f of 2? What do I get for f of 2? 2. I get 2. Very good. And how about f of 0? Negative 2. Very good. Okay? This is the same information. If I plugged it into a t-chart, or if I made a t-chart out of that information, it would look exactly the same as that. Okay? So I'm just evaluating the function. I could evaluate more if I wanted to. I could say, what happens at negative 4? Okay? I stick negative 4 in, I get negative 8 minus 2, and I get negative 10. Okay? First thing you have to be able to do is evaluate a function at a certain point in order to be able to do piecewise. Okay? Questions? Any questions? All right. Now let's talk about piecewise. Piecewise is a combination of two functions. Okay? It is the putting together of two separate functions. It's saying this function is true for this part, and this function is true for this part. And this is the way that it's written. F of x is equal to 3x minus 1 if x is less than or equal to 0. It is equal to 2x plus 1 if x is greater than 0. So we have two parts, two functions. The first objective that I want you to be able to do is evaluate the piecewise function. Evaluate it at any terms that they give you. Like evaluate it at 3, 5, and negative 7. The second objective for today is to be able to graph a piecewise function. Okay, those are the two things that we want to be able to do. All right, so let's look at it. First, we're going to evaluate at 0. I want to find f of 0. I want to find f of negative 1. And I want to find f of positive 2. I just picked these three values. It's a little harder than the problem I just did because you have two different functions to pick from. Right? You got a function here if x is less than or equal to 0. And you have a function here if x is greater than 0. For this value, for f of 0, which one am I going to use? Am I going to use the top function or am I going to use the bottom function? We're going to use the top. Why the top?
Because it's greater than or equal to.
It's
less than.
You're on the right track. Is less than or equal to. So 0 makes a true statement right here. That means this is the function that I have to use. So I'm going to take 0 and I'm plugging it in right there. And what do I get from my answer? What's y? Negative 1. I plug 0 in right here. 3 times 0 is 0. Minus 1 is negative 1. All right. How about f of negative 1? What am I going to get when I do f of negative 1? Which one am I going to use? The top or the bottom?
Top.
The top one. Negative 1 is less than or equal to 0. So I'm still here on the top. Negative 1 goes right there. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Minus 1 is?
Negative 4.
Very good. Negative 4. If you have trouble with the negatives, then you can always use your calculator, okay, in order to get the answer. All right. How about this one? F of positive 2.
The bottom.
Which one am I going to do?
Bottom.
The bottom one makes a true statement. If I take 2 and I plug it in right there, I get a true statement. 2 is greater than 0. So I take 2 and I plug it in right there, and what do I get when I work that out? I get 5. Okay? Do you see how that works? You have choices, right? They're gonna give you these values, and you have a choice of this one or this one, whichever works out to be true. Okay? Questions? Any questions? Any questions? All right. Look at the page at the bottom of page 48, and there is an example there of what we just did. I want you to work out at your desk 1, 2, 3, 4 at the bottom of page 48. 1, 2, 3, 4 at the bottom of page 48. Now at your desk.